Hey everybody, John Hines here from the Monkey Bar Gym, and I want to talk a little bit about something that a lot of people ask us. They say, do you guys really not do any stretching? And I say, no, we don't do static stretching. We do active alignment. It's different than static stretching in that static stretching the body fights, active alignment the body loves, it supports it. We do it every day. When we yawn and do movements like that, but no species on the planet static stretches except humans, so that should tell you something. So I'm going to give you a great example of a way to open the hips up that's active, and it's going to make your hips feel amazing, but most people statically try and stretch it, and that's your hip flexors. Most people will try and stretch their hips by, doing something like this, or doing a pigeon pose and just really sitting into it. So a lot of people like to static stretch the IT band and the hip to try and open up with a pose like this called pigeon pose. And they'll just sit in it and the body's turned off. So thus it's going to fight the stretch. You can do the same things for your body. Open the IT band and open the hip up with a pose we call butterfly supine bridge. So supine bridge is a pose where you're like this, your feet are set, you're pulling the heels towards your butt and you're lifting your hips up as you drive and extend your elbows into the floor. This pose activates your hamstrings and all of your extensors while opening up your hips. It's an awesome pose. So all we did here then is we're just taking this pose to the next level. Keep your feet shoulder width apart. You're going to take your left foot over your right. Keep your ankle flexed. So that's it's activating your dorsiflexion here, which is going to help the pose. And then we're doing the exact same thing. We're driving the hips up. And what we're doing here is we're trying to work the knee down and forward, but we don't want this hip to drop. We want the hips to stay even. So you can hold your hips here as you're working the knee down and forward. So there we're going to open up the hip. We're going to really activate the external rotators to open the hip up, and we're pulling with the heels so that we activate the hamstrings as well, the hip extensors. And we're still working the shoulders like this. So I'm working the shin forward and I'm working the knee out as I'm lifting my left hip. Keep your right shin vertical, and that is going to do an incredible job at opening up your hip. So obviously you're going to do both sides. I'll show you on the other side. Feet are shoulder width apart. Take the right foot over, it's dorsiflex. Keep the hips square, lift down. I'm working this knee down and forward. I want to keep my hips square to the floor, so I don't want this hip drop down. That's not how you take that knee down. We want the hips up and drop the knee down and forward as I'm working my elbows into the floor. Keep the shoulders wide. Pull that heel so your hammies are engaged and you're working externally and forward with this hip. It's called butterfly supine bridge. It is an awesome way to open up your hips and loosen up your IT bands.